we're much deeper. If we can go to the next slide, please. When I'm looking at the slide that you're seeing also, I'm reminded of the helpers, our mentors, are those who support us doing the work up front. This image is by Howard Rainier, a friend and a mentor who guides us, and we can count some pretty awesome people as our mentors, our elders who keep us in line. Also, Oren Lyons, who's going to be working with our youth down in San Diego the first of the month of December. And I think it's important, even if you're an agency, that you not just have a board, but like the previous speaker, that you listen to the people. And we have an elders group that advises, that we listen to, even though we might have some of our board members and trainers have PhDs and a variety of education, that we have people that advise us, our council of elders. As you see there, our vision is that to listen through the gifts of the ancestors, that prayer, ceremony, song, language, these things that if we live in balance, that they will ensure that our culture goes forward to the next generations. Again, I'll plug for additional information. You can go to nativewellness.com, and you'll find a lot of information there. If we could go to the next slide, please. Some of our main focus, our priorities, are the programs that would bring around healthy relationships and parenting, workplace wellness, staff development, strategic planning, and program development, and curriculum development. And like the previous speaker, we're working with the BIE education programs right now. In fact, that's why Jolene Joseph couldn't be here today, is because they were called to go do some work in Rapid City, and 100 representatives from throughout North and South Dakota and other Midwest states are working around the suicide prevention aspects and the bullying aspects. Like a lot of people, the recent news with a variety of Two-Spirit youth suiciding, it made the news, and yet suicides and bullying has been going on in Indian country for a long time. Not to put down the 5 deaths that did happen, but we've had so many deaths in Indian country, and the work continues. And that's why when I saw the list of our participants, that we are not alone doing this work. There's a lot of us out there doing the work, and it takes a lot of us to do this work. If we can go to the next slide, please. Our focus with youth and youth leadership development is three areas, is three-pronged. We do youth leadership academies, such as the one that's coming up in December in San Diego. We do youth athletic camps that happen during the summer times, where youth come in and go through a variety of activities with a variety of trainers and leaders and mentors. And we also have youth cultural camps, and again with a variety of different presenters and teachers that come from all over. And I think it's important to say that all of our programs are very culturally based, centered around ceremony, centered around the old teachings. And it's not just a one view, because our board and our trainers come from all over Indian country, to use that word. We have our trainers all over the United States. We have people that come from the Plains area, of course. We have people from the Southwest. We have people who work with us who are Alaskan. Myself, I'm Pura Pecha, Mexican, and Islera Pueblo del Sur. We work with a lot of communities, and we represent those communities from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I think that's what's awesome about the Native Wellness Institute, is that all the efforts that we're doing all the efforts that we talk about, our leaders, our trainers, our facilitators have done their own work, are doing their own work when we work with our communities. So when we talk about being sober or looking at our anger issues or looking at our mental health issues, we have been and we continue to do that work ourselves. So if and when we're doing any activity or we come in to do a multi-day event with the community and the tears come, we're not put off by it, nor are we scared by it, but we make time for those tears to fall without having to shut it down and stopping the healing that needs to happen. It's important that when we do this work that we create a space so that people feel that they can express themselves on those levels, to trust, to feel that they do belong there in the group. It's also important that we create a space so that people can tell their stories, that we can share our stories, that we can share how we need each other. I'm going to quote Harold Belmont, one of my teachers and friends, who says, we need each other, and we don't even know how much we need each other. And if I've heard him say that once, I've heard him say it probably 100 times. And it's so true. We need each other in this work that we're doing. There's no shortness of wellness work. And ultimately, in our trainings, there's this spirit, this outrageous spirit of generosity. And that goes through all of our trainings, our focuses. The last two things that are our focus is educational wellness conferences and retreats and trainings. And again, throughout all of these things, we're always asked the question, and I think we can go to the next slide. We're always asking the question, how well am I? And in fact, if people want to, we'll make this a participatory webinar here. And you could draw yourself a little circle there on a piece of paper or a 3x5 card, whatever you have there, and you can we can walk through this together. This is a model that I use a lot. I like to use the circle. And what we do here is that we're using the medicine wheel or the wellness wheel model, and we're asking the questions: how well am I? Spiritually, how well am I physically? How well am I mentally? How well am I emotionally? So we have that circle, it's almost like a little bullseye, and all those things that you are doing for yourself on a regular basis, spiritually, physically, emotionally, mentally, you would notate them in the center part of the circle. The things that you've been thinking about doing, or that maybe you've done them on rare occasion, perhaps, say, if we look at the quadrant on physical, and you say, well, I've been wanting to do yoga, maybe you only did it like once or twice the last year. Maybe that might go on the outer ring there on physical. Or say mental, maybe you've been thinking about going back to school or reading certain books to further your education or understanding or a different point of view. You might put that out there. Unless you're actively doing it, then I would move that activity to the center part of the circle. And I like open book tests. So I wish we could do a split screen here, but we can move to the next slide. If you have that image in your head there about the middle circle and then the outer circle, that would be great. And this next slide shows what are some of those things that could have been notated in the inner circle or even the outer circle if you're only doing them intermittently. On spiritual, we like to say, give yourself credit if you have pride. And I apologize that this slide might be a little ethnocentric in saying native pride, but if we're working with primarily native communities, Of course, we want to support that, and we say native pride. Do you have native pride? Do you have respect for yourself? Do you feel like a sense of connectedness in all things? Do you have faith? Do you express your faith? Do you pray? Do you feel a sense of purpose? Do you feel that you have, or do you have a sense of service to community, to your relatives? Do you feel loved? Do you feel loved? Do you love others? And as we go around, we give ourselves credit. And I use those terms because when I'm working with youth or communities, people who are new to wellness, Wellness 101. There's always new people hearing some of this information for the first time, and it's good to go to the basics. You know, are you a non-smoker? Are you taking care of yourself by not drinking or doing drugs? Are you taking care of yourself? And I'm going to use the I statements here. Am I eating a healthy diet? Am I getting enough rest? Am I drinking pure water? And all the way through, you encourage and go, oh, I'm doing that. Go, good. Give yourself credit for that. And part of that is starting to build a sense of recognition for the things that we are doing. Because a lot of times you ask people, what are you doing well? And they'll draw a blank. And you say, what are you doing badly? In fact, we refrain from using that. But if we were going to ask that, they'll give you a list of 10 things that they're doing badly, things that they're not doing well. So here we try to give people ideas of the things that they are doing to remember that, to remember. So going around the wheel there emotionally, that you have expression, that you share yourself with others, that you have high self-esteem. Moving into mental, that you have the means for reducing stress, that you can think critically, that you have discernment, that you have embraced learning, that you have a vision of where you want to go. And this model seems to work well for a lot of people. And then also encouraging them, let's go back to the previous slide, to pick up things that they might not be doing. I'm hesitating here because my computer's falling asleep. If you look at the outer ring, if you have some things there that you might want to do more often, then you could focus and start bringing those into the center. And we tell people, you know, just think of it as a wheel that is in balance, that if your wheel is balanced and you have a lot of things that you're doing really well, then it won't be so wobbly as the wheel on our vehicles if they're going down the road unbalanced.